government there was U.S.-backed, and as recently as September, Barack Obama was touting it as an example of a country in which our counterterrorism program is working and our support of a foreign government is working. And here we are in early February. The government has collapsed. We had to abandon our embassy. Our counterterrorism program must have taken a hit because before we left, we destroyed all the classified materials. Counterterrorism Center is based in part in the embassies, as everybody knows. And now are we still supposed to be looking at Yemen as some sort of an example of an American success?
Well, first, what the president was referencing was our efforts to cooperate on counterterrorism. That's ongoing. Is it impacted by the volatility on the ground? Absolutely. Is it impacted by the fact that we don't have a diplomatic staff on the ground? Absolutely. But we still have means of communicating and working with a range of contacts and sources we have on the ground. That's continuing.
The people we liked are now pushed out of power, and here's video of the people who are now in control. They do not appear to be fans of the United States, as they love to run around chanting the following. Show the videos. I mean, are we supposed to be coordinating with them? Are those our new counterterrorism partners?
Well, Megan, as there are in any country, there are counterparts we work with that are on the military chains, that are in other chains, that are not necessarily diplomatic chains. And that is continuing in Yemen today as we speak.
Jen, the problem that the United States has now is it appears that the policy we pursued in connection with the Arab Spring from December 2010 forward has failed. And at a minimum is in the midst of failing. We had to pull out of Syria, our embassy. We had to pull out of Libya, our embassy. Now we've had to pull out of Yemen. And it seems very clear that American influence in that region is diminishing, while that of Iran is on the rise. Is that not correct?
Well, first, I think we have to look at each of these countries individually. As it relates to Libya, you're right. The president and others in the administration have spoken about what more we could have and should have done, and as have other countries. Syria's in the middle of a civil war with a brutal dictator who's killed hundreds of thousands of people.
But there's a question about whether we blew it, in each of those instances, and in the case of Yemen. We had opportunities that we missed.
Is that these are hardly exactly the same circumstances, and we're dealing with each of these countries separately. Do we want to return to Yemen? Absolutely. That's why we suspended our operations. We plan on returning when we can. The Houthis have said they are not threatening. They don't want to go after the United States. Well, the proof is in the pudding, and we want to see our embassy protected.
The video sort of belies that promise. I mean, the signs.
We obviously
and by the way, it's not just one slice of video. Apparently, at all their checkpoints, they like to post the sign. You know how we have like a yield or a stop sign at all our checkpoints? They have "Death to America" literally written on their signs.
Well, Megan, there's no question that actions speak louder than words, and they have said they want the Americans, they want the Westerners to be and have a presence in Yemen.
Why was the evacuation from the embassy so hasty when we knew things were deteriorating for weeks now? We sent amphibious ships to the region. We had evacuated some people from the embassy, and it is very clear that something did not go according to plan when you have U.S. diplomats rushing to the airport, leaving keys in the cars, and U.S. Marines having to leave so quickly that they have to destroy their government-issued weapons at the embassy, take personal weapons with them so that they're safe en route to the airport, and then having to physically destroy them before they board not a military plane, but a commercial one.
Well, first, it wasn't hasty, just because everybody in Yemen didn't know.